RV travel can be something that other people might envy because wow. I mean, we've done some really cool stuff, right? Friends and acquaintances over the years that ask me my thoughts on getting an RV. And one of the first things that I bring up to them is that you either have to have deep pockets or you have to have a willingness to get your hands dirty. Today is a great example. If you think that you're ready for RVing, you might want to watch this video. So Cindy and I have this 2011 Tiffin. It's a 34 TGA, one of their gas coaches. We're trying to do some upgrades, and this coach came with a plastic toilet, one of the plastic Thetford toilets. Me being a big guy, I hardly fit in that one. and it's plastic. It doesn't feel very residential. So we ordered the Dometic 320, and that's what I'm installing. You can see I've got the Thetford out of the motorhome already. The Dometic is set to show up in a couple of days, and we're gonna pop it in. And it should be really a 10-15 minute job. However, this is where the willing to get your hands dirty comment comes from. Let me show you. Have the old toilet out and immediately noticed that things weren't going to go as smooth as I hoped they would. Last night I couldn't even sleep because I discovered this yesterday afternoon. I got the towel out last night and I was poking around my finger, and it was just soft, spongy, and wet, and appears to have some mold. I don't know, black mold. I don't know much about mold, but I am wearing a mask as I use the scraper. I used gloves for most of it, but gloves get sort of cumbersome. So I'm going to use a mask, and I'm going to take all my clothes off. I'm not the CDC. I don't know what I should be doing. And I've already done some scraping, but apparently it was a leaky valve or something. I've got the flange removed already, and I'm using my pry bar and this little scraper tool and a hammer and scraping at it. One thing that I very much appreciate about having a Tiffin coach is I've called them on several occasions, even though this coach is over 10 years old, and they have answered my questions like quickly every time I've called, no matter the question. And I called on my way home from work today, and I couldn't get the flange off. I asked if the flange was possibly glued in place, and he said, no, those typically screw. So I pounded and pounded, and eventually it broke loose. I guess it had corrosion and stuff that was keeping the pipe from turning, but I got that. I also asked him, well, what am I going to find underneath the subfloor? And he said possibly nothing except for some steel, like 2-inch steel tubing, or not, square tubing that they use to sort of frame out the motorhome. So I'm going to keep chipping away and get this rod out of here, and see if I hit some steel tubing. That's what I'm hoping to see. I got my fancy clothes on too for you, but let's get this mask on. Problem with this mask is I can't see. I guess everyone now with COVID, everyone knows what it's like to try to work with a mask, and your glasses fog up. So I have an option: keep the mold out of my lungs and not see, or see and get infected with mold. Big man doesn't actually fit in here all that well either. But just doing like that. I'm about an hour in, and I've got most of the soft stuff out. There's still some stuff with black on it, so I'll have to go back further than the soft stuff. But really happy with what I'm seeing. Came across 3 of the 2-inch steel tubes that Tiffin told me I would find. I did hit steel tubing right there. And I see the foam insulation. So it looks like there's some insulation happening right on the other side of it. If I don't get any more surprises, I don't think this is going to be a terrible job. I still want to get that trim out that's holding the heater vent and see what's under that, and I'll probably replace back further. And I'll probably come to the right here under those tiles. I'm going to pull those tiles out. I think this whole toilet floor is going to be something new. And maybe the whole rig will be at some point. The place where I still have plywood there around the opening, that's very thin Luan type stuff. I don't know what it was doing, but it's soft as well. And so I'm going to pull that out too. But I want to stop here and give my wife a chance to guide me. Make sure I don't do anything stupid. I think I've done I've gone as far as I can go without accomplishing stupid yet. I think. Unless one of you guys see something that I'm not seeing. Got it cleaned out pretty good. What you see on the right, of course, is good OSB. You're seeing a little bit of black staining and stuff here on the corner, but it is good and solid there. So I think we're going to scrub and get that up. I'm thinking I can cut a piece of OSB to refit in this shape. Of course, it'll be supported by these steel square tubes. But before I put the OSB in, we're going to cut out a piece of foam that'll fit this, and of course cut a hole that could drop down to the black tank. We're going to spray the whole thing down with bleach or a bleach solution with some water and let that kill everything. I'm going to probably hit those steel tubes with a wire brush and a little black spray paint. I'm electing not to pull this piece of trim out because it's very difficult to figure out how it's in there, actually. I think there might be pocket screws or something from the backside, and possibly it was put in place before this exterior wall. If that was the case, then the only way to get it out is to destroy it. So I didn't want to do that. And as I broke away the OSB here, it was much more firm here at the edge. So what's underneath here is probably in reasonable shape. So before we go to bed tonight, we're just going to spray it down with this bleach solution and let it sit for the night. I'm feeling better and better every day about this project. Day one, you saw I got most of the rot pulled out. Today, I was able to get in and kind of tidy up some of the areas I didn't get too well and make sure that the space would be just completely free. Well, completely might not be the right word. Maybe I'm 90% free of the damage or the significant damage. So let me show you. All right, I continue to impress myself. So there's all my painted iron. I had to put a ledger on that back wall, so that's screwed in with self-tapping screws into the iron that's underneath the wall. So now I have a good ledger for that to sit on. There's my black tank, and listen guys, after 11 years of use, it's kind of nice to see that. It looks good and clean. This is just a fabric. You can hear it sounds like a drum, but all that stuff is just the underlaying fabric. That's gonna hold up. I've got this foam cut out. This was from an old ice chest I had, and it's gonna sandwich in place there like that to match what was existing. I've got to cut out the big hole. I've got a hole saw to do that with. Then I'm going to put foil tape over all these edges. Man, I'm impressing myself. Am I impressing you guys? I hope I'm impressing somebody. Now, someone will probably comment about what I just did wrong. I hope it's not too big of a wrong. Got my hole cut out. Looks like it's needing some help to compress. Of course, the subfloor will do that job. I don't want to press too hard because it's just a fabric on the bottom side holding me up. This foil tape doesn't have much strength to it, but it might keep water from going places, possibly. Alright, that'll stick down when I put the subfloor. Utility knife and a chisel with a little hammer helps you kind of get these corners all cleaned out. So let me pop away at that. Now we're in. You know, every last gap is not filled, but that's not necessary either. I'm wondering if we should call this pajama RV repair or something. Maybe that could be our little special name. You know, I do these projects when I'm at home messing around on a day off work or something like that, and I stay in my pajamas. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Hope it's in the right place. I've got some screw holes pre-drilled. I tested the flange and the flange will fit. Tell you, a couple of days ago, I didn't think I'd be here this quick, but here I am. So what I've got here, actually self-tapping sheet metal screws, but it's what I have. Well, I'm going into steel, aren't I? And I recessed a little bit so that these heads would not interfere with my tile. If you've not seen our playlist on buying a Class A motorhome, you might want to check that playlist out. One of the videos is when we discovered a leak. The very morning after we brought this thing home, there was a leak here in the front, and that was resolved. Watch that video. It's a pretty interesting process there. But one thing I learned from that process is that when I pulled the toilet off and I pulled that tile back, I didn't get the same sinking feeling. I was disappointed, yes. You know, I saw them handle that other leak, and they just cut out wood and remove the rot and come in with new wood. And I have confidence that that's what I can do here with this. If you don't have that confidence, you may want to think twice about having an RV, because this is not unique. I know some of you looked at that floor at first and thought, holy cow, this thing's just rotting away under them. And I would have thought that too, till I got some experience under my belt. And like I said, if you have deep pockets and you can keep new stuff all the time, the likelihood of this is less. It could still happen. But if you don't, you know, this is what you do. Does it give me any second thoughts about buying a 10-year-old motorhome? None at all, because I paid less than 50% of what the first guy paid, and I'm going to get all the use out of this thing. But stuff like this does come along with the territory. Apologize if I'm in your way. It's hard for me to get in this space without the camera. And I am working without anything over my black tank, so if I drop something, it wouldn't be good. All right, y'all are leaving because y'all in the way. All right, everyone, that's where we are. Boy, it looks a lot better, don't it? Everything seemed to line up good enough. And let's face it, on a job like this, reasonable might be a win. This is the vinyl flooring that we picked out to go. You know, it picks up some of the darker tones here in the tiles. Of course, it's in its own room, so I think the fact that it's different won't be that big of a deal. I did buy this threshold piece, and this is, of course, going to go across where the two meet, and I think we'll have a nice finished look. The only difficult part is getting the notch around that and making that look good. Of course, I do plan to use caulking, so I'll probably caulk along that joint out here. All right, I'm gonna put that in, mark the length. Need to figure out how much I'm gonna take off here. Not very good at origami. Well, ain't bad for a layman, I don't suppose. I'm going to cut my half circle here before I lay the next one, just so I'm sure I'm in the right spot. Man, screw the flange in, put the toilet on. The vinyl's down. It's not perfect, but it's down. A couple of imperfections in the seams over here. The toilet, I think, is going to cover all that up. Got my threshold, bridging the gap there. Yeah, really pleased. The match, I think, is reasonable. Got my flange screwed in. It's screwed to the black tank, actually, but I do still have to screw it down to the subfloor. You can definitely see be some more height, which will add to the comfort. The bowl itself is elongated, which will also add to comfort. Anyway, that's a quick comparison to what we had before. This one probably weighs about 30 pounds more than this one. And the toilet is on. I haven't tightened down yet on these, and I haven't hooked up the water yet, but I'm about to do that. New toilet came with a new rubber seal for the bottom, and tightening on these screws will get that seal compressed down, hopefully good enough that we will not have water issues again. It fits. My flange bolts were not the recommended 12 inches from Dometic. I only had like 10 3/4 inches, but it fits fine. And when I put the seat up, even with the little pockets back there, the seat still stays in place real good. Waiting for my son to come up. I'm gonna have him actually kind of sit on this as I tighten and put a little weight on the left, a little weight on the right. The instructions tell you to, torque down on both sides sort of evenly so you don't deform the bottom. We've got water to it. Caps are on, everything's tightened down. It's holding water. Have a towel back there just temporarily in case I've got any dripping, but I haven't seen any yet. She's working. Fills the bowl real nice. I'm not getting too much water out of the front side, but I wonder if it's because I'm not quite level here. That very well could be. I filmed this about almost 2 years ago now. I never did wrap it up and give you my impressions of the toilet itself because, sometimes you start off to do a toilet job and you end up doing other construction. So the toilet, the Dometic 320, it's been an outstanding improvement for the motorhome. I mean, you wouldn't think just a toilet could make that much of a difference, but it's enjoyable. And I don't think you want me to get any more descriptive than that, but the ergonomics are great. I like that it's taller. It's a big help for me. I'm a big guy. It stays a lot cleaner than that plastic did. And we had the hand spray, the washer, which I didn't put in the video, but the hand spray is a must-have. Haven't had any leak issues that I'm aware of, and I do pretty much every couple of times we use it. I go behind the toilet now because I don't want any big surprises like that again. But the point of this video, I think, is to maybe help you guys not be intimidated or scared when something like this happens, because your heart will sink. But you can tackle it, like most problems in life, you jump in and you just keep taking steps towards a solution and you'll get there. Is mine as good as new? No, it's not. But I don't think it's going to be a problem in the future, and I'm satisfied with what we've done. And I don't know if a professional would have done any better of a job, because I bring vehicles to the pros sometimes and you see some crazy stuff. And so, I'll take the 90% job that I know how it's done versus the one that I don't know how it's done. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a lot of other videos that have been sitting on the hard drive just waiting for me to put together. So hit the like button, leave us a comment and tell us if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful. That would make us really feel good. And you know, we'll try to put out some more of these. So until next time,